My family called me the useless kid. When they found my bank account, all hell broke loose. You know that feeling. When you work your butt off for something and everyone just looks right through you, like you're a ghost in your own life. Ever had your own family make you feel like you'll never be enough? Yeah, I know that feeling a little too well. My name is Skylar Vance. I'm 29 years old, and I'm a tech entrepreneur. And for pretty much my entire life, I was the invisible kid, the afterthought. While my little brother was treated like a prince, getting new cars, fancy private schools, endless applause for just breathing, I was just there, scraping by, trying to prove I was even worth a second glance. But I never let it break me. Nope. I channeled all of that into building something massive. Something they couldn't ignore. And then, at our family's Thanksgiving dinner last year, everything exploded. My brother found out what I'd built, the money I'd made, and he completely lost it. Screaming rage the whole 9 yards, right in front of everyone. My mom jumped in, of course, defending her golden boy, while my dad just sat there, silent, that night. It changed everything. What happened next? Oh man, it's a story of betrayal, shocking lies, and finally standing up for what I earned. Stick around, because what my family did next, you are not going to believe it. If you're ready for a family drama that gets wild, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell for Silent Revenge Lab. You won't want to miss a second of this. Growing up in Austin, Texas, the comparison was a constant nagging soundtrack to my life. I'm Skylar, and for as long as I can remember, my family had this role for me. I was the plain one. The spare. My brother Jackson, oh, he was their superstar, their golden child. At 16, he got a brand new, shiny Mustang, just handed to him. His private school tuition, paid without a single blink. And every half-baked idea he had, oh, it was pure genius. Jackson's so innovative, they'd say. Meanwhile, I was pulling double shifts at a local diner, smelling like French fries and coffee, just to pay for my books at State College. My mom's favorite line, "Skylar, why can't you be more like your brother?" And my dad, he'd just nod along, sipping his iced tea, never saying a word. They literally called me the background character in our family story. Like, wow. Huh. Thanks, guys. But I wasn't lazy. Not even close. I was studying my butt off in computer science, staying up all night coding, teaching myself stuff my professors didn't even know. I landed an internship at this tiny, no-name tech startup. It wasn't glamorous, but I loved it. Building apps, solving puzzles with code. It was my world. But at family dinners, they didn't care. They'd be fawning over Jackson's latest get-rich-quick scheme while my work was dismissed as, and I quote, that nerdy computer stuff. My aunt would chime in with, at least Jackson is going places. And my mom would just beam. I'd sit there, biting my tongue so hard I tasted blood. By the time I hit my mid-20s, I'd secretly started my own software company. I poured everything into it. Every sleepless night, every weekend, every single dime I earned from that diner job. It was starting to grow, fast, but I kept it on the down low. My family didn't need to know. They never asked about my life anyway. They were too busy cheering from the sidelines for their star player. I told myself I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. I was building my own empire. But man, their words still stung. Every plain one jab, every comparison, it left a mark. My best friend Maya, who I met in college, saw the whole thing go down. She'd roll her eyes so hard when my mom bragged about Jackson's latest vision. She'd lean over and whisper, "Skylar, they have no idea who they're dealing with. None." But I didn't realize how deep the favoritism ran until I got a little older. My mom paid for Jackson's find himself trip to Europe. She paid for his business school applications. She even paid his rent for a year because he, and I quote, needed space to think. And me? When I needed help with a security deposit for my first crappy apartment, I got a lecture about pulling myself up by my bootstraps. My dad, silent, as usual, just letting my mom run the whole show. I once overheard Jackson's girlfriend laughing with my cousin about how I was so basic and would never amount to anything. Oof. That one hurt. But you know what? I used it. I used all of it as fuel. My company became my entire focus. My code, my team, my vision. I wasn't going to let their doubts define me. Looking back, those years, they forged me. I learned to rely on myself, to trust my own path. Maya was my rock, She became a killer lawyer, sharp and fiercely loyal, the kind of friend who tells you the hard truth without flinching. My family, though? They were completely blind to my hustle. They saw Jackson as the future, the one who'd make the Vance name famous. I was just the daughter who paid her own way, who didn't need their spotlight. And that was fine. Seriously. I was building something so much bigger than they could even imagine. But little did I know, the biggest shock of my life was waiting for me at what was supposed to be a simple family holiday. And the explosion that was coming would change my relationship with them forever. Because when they finally found out my secret, the mask of the perfect family didn't just slip. It shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, so there I was, walking into my parents' house in Austin for Thanksgiving dinner. The air was thick with the smell of turkey and, well, fake smiles. You know the vibe. The house was packed with aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole crew. Laughter and clinking glasses. But underneath it all, that same old tension I'd felt my whole life. I found a quiet spot at the table, just picking at my food, while my brother Jackson held court. Of course. He was holding forth about his newest, groundbreaking real estate project, some flashy downtown development he swore was going to put Austin on the map. My mom was just eating it up, hanging on his every word like he was delivering the gospel. "That's my boy," she said, her voice dripping with so much pride it was almost sickening. "He's got vision." My cousin Chloe was right there nodding along, tossing out compliments like confetti. "You're a genius, Jax." I just stayed quiet, used to being part of the furniture. But man, their voices were starting to grate on me. It was like this constant low-level hum of annoyance. And then, it happened. My mom turned to me, her smile just vanishing, like a switch had been flipped. "Skylar," she said, her tone sharp, like she was scolding a kid. "Still messing around with those computers?" Chloe snickered into her napkin. Jackson leaned back in his chair, this smug smirk plastered on his face. He looked so pleased with himself, and something inside me, it just snapped. Like a rubber band stretched too far. I set my fork down, real slow. I looked my mom straight in the eye, my heart hammering in my chest, but my voice was steady as a rock. "Actually, Mom," I said, the whole table going quiet. "My software company is worth $28 million. Boom. You could have heard a pin drop. I'm not even kidding." Chloe's jaw literally dropped open. My dad's fork, halfway to his mouth, just froze in midair. But Jackson, his face, it twisted. His eyes narrowed into these little slits, like I'd just stolen something from him, which in his mind I guess I had. I'd stolen his spotlight. "You," he spat. His voice was so loud it made the wine glasses shake. 28 million? That's a lie. That's a goddamn lie! His chair screeched against the floor as he shot up, his fists clenched. "You've never done anything big in your whole life. Nothing." And then my mom jumped in. Of course she did. Her voice was all shrill and panicked. "Jackson's right, Skylar. How could you possibly have that kind of money? You're just you! You're just you." Man, those 3 words cut deeper than any knife ever could. But I didn't flinch. I leaned forward, calm on the outside, but a storm raging inside. "It's true," I said, firm. "I built it. Every single cent." Jackson's face turned this scary shade of purple red. He slammed his hand down on the table so hard the plates rattled. "You're making this up to humiliate me. In front of everyone." My mom kept going, her voice rising into a screech. "Skylar, stop this nonsense. You're upsetting your brother." She actually pointed her finger at me, her eyes flashing with pure anger. Like I was the one causing a scene, like my success was some kind of personal betrayal against the family. And my dad? He just sat there, said nothing. His face was a complete blank slate. I looked at him. I swear I was begging him with my eyes to say something, anything to make this stop. But he just looked down at his plate. Like always. My cousin Chloe tried to lighten the mood, mumbling, "Well, that's unexpected." But Jackson was nowhere near done. He started pacing behind the table, muttering under his breath about how I didn't deserve it, how I must have gotten lucky or maybe even cheated someone. My mom had her arms crossed, nodding along, still glaring daggers at me. I could have explained it all right then. The years of coding, the sleepless nights, the clients I'd won over. But they didn't want to hear it. They never had. I finally stood up, my voice steady but cold. Believe what you want, Jackson. It's real. He stopped dead in his tracks, staring at me like he could burn a hole right through me. You'll regret this, he hissed, low and venomous. The rest of the dinner was a total blur. The air was so heavy you could barely breathe. Every glance from a relative was loaded with judgment or pity. I just sat there, letting their words wash over me, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. But I had no idea just how far they'd be willing to go to drag me back down to where they thought I belonged. The quiet after that storm. It was the calm before the biggest betrayal of my life. Because the text started the very next day. And let me tell you, their idea of family loyalty was about to show its true, ugly colors. So I thought the screaming at Thanksgiving was bad. Oh man, that was just the opening act. A few weeks after the dinner, my phone basically became a weapon they used to bludgeon me with. It started with my mom, Catherine. The text just flooded in. Skylar, we need to talk. Your brother needs your help. It's family. I stared at my screen, my stomach doing backflips. She wasn't asking, you know? She was demanding. It was like this script she'd rehearsed. Then Jackson jumped in. And get this, his texts were all charm. Like total 180 from his dinner table meltdown. Sis, my real estate project is a total game changer. You're in tech, you get it. We're family. Let's build this together. I didn't reply. Not a single word. But the pressure? It was a constant drip, drip, drip. Every day a new message. Each one leaning harder on this whole family loyalty thing. It felt so fake, so manipulative. Like they were tag-teaming me. I tried to brush it off, throw myself into work, but my mom wouldn't let up. She called me one evening, her voice like a shard of glass. Skylar, you've got money now, she said. No hello, nothing. It's your duty to support Jackson. He's got vision. I gripped my phone so tight I thought the case would crack. Mom, I worked for every single penny. He can do the same. She actually scoffed, like I'd just said the most ridiculous thing she'd ever heard. You're so selfish, she snapped. Your brother deserves a chance. I hung up. My hands were literally shaking. Her words echoed in my head, but I wasn't buying the guilt trip. Not this time, and then my dad got involved. He called, his tone all soft and defeated. Skylar, let's just find a middle ground, okay? He said, almost pleading. Maybe you could just invest a little, just to keep the peace. My heart sank. I wanted to believe he meant well. I really did. But it just felt like another push to get me to fall in line, to be the good, quiet daughter again. Dad, I'm not funding Jackson's dreams, I told him, firm. I have my own company to run. He just sighed, mumbling something about family unity, but I could tell he was way out of his depth. He'd never been the one to stand up to them. I found out later he tried to talk to my mom and Jackson, told them to back off. Guess how well that worked? Yeah, not at all. That's when things got really ugly, publicly ugly. My cousin Chloe took to Twitter. She posted, William just lets Skylar walk all over this family. Spineless. She actually used the word spineless. And she tagged like half our relatives. Then other cousins piled on. All these snide comments about how my dad was too weak to handle me. I scrolled through the thread, my chest getting tighter and tighter. They were trashing him online. Publicly. All because he'd tried in his own passive way to mediate. This wasn't just about him. This was a message to me. A loud, clear warning. Play along, or we'll tear down anyone who even looks like they're on your side. The text from Jackson got longer, dripping with this fake sincerity. Skylar, I know you're mad, but this project could put our family on the map. Don't you want that? I could almost hear his smirk through the screen. My mom's messages turned ice cold. You think you're better than us now? She wrote. I didn't respond. But each word was another little jab, another cut. I started avoiding family group chats, muting notifications. But the pressure always found a way to seep through. I'd be at work, in the middle of a meeting, and I'd catch myself rereading their messages, second-guessing everything. I was trying to hold my ground, but they were waging a full-on war. And I was about to find out they were fighting dirtier than I ever could have imagined. Because the second that email landed in my inbox, I knew this wasn't just about guilt trips anymore. They had crossed a line into something illegal. All right. So the texts and the Twitter drama were bad, right? But I was handling it, or at least I thought I was. I was blocking, muting, trying to keep my head down and focus on my company. But then, boom, they pulled a move I never saw coming. It was a random Tuesday morning. I was in my office, sipping my coffee, going through my inbox when an email stopped me cold. The sender was some big-shot investor named Eric Stone. The subject line? Regarding Vance Holdings. I frowned. Vance Holdings? I'd never heard of it. My heart did this little stutter step. I clicked it open. The email was polite but urgent. Ms. Vance, looking forward to connecting about your involvement in your brother's venture. The prospectus is impressive. My blood ran cold. Prospectus? My involvement? I scrolled down, my eyes scanning faster and faster. Eric mentioned a detailed plan, with my name listed as a key partner. It claimed I'd backed the project with millions of my own money. My hands started to shake. My name, my reputation, they were using it without my permission. This wasn't just family guilt-tripping anymore. This was fraud. I immediately called Maya. Something's wrong, I said, my voice tight as I forwarded her the email. Jackson is using my name for some real estate deal. Maya, my lawyer rockstar friend, didn't miss a beat. Send me everything you've got. Right now. Her voice was like steel, calm but ready for war. I dug through my inbox like a woman possessed. And there it was, buried under promo emails I usually ignore. Promotional stuff for Vance Holdings, all touting my support. One even had a fake bio calling me a silent investor in Jackson's vision. I felt sick to my stomach. This was next level. This was deception. Maya came over to my office the next day, her laptop already open, diving into public records. They've set up a company, Skylar, she said, turning the screen to me. She had the filings from the Texas Secretary of State right there. Vance Holdings was registered under Jackson's name, with my mom, Catherine, listed as a co-founder. And my name? It was plastered all over their marketing materials, tied directly to the success of my software company. They're leveraging your reputation to lure investors, Maya explained. Her eyes narrowed. She'd even found emails between Jackson and this Eric guy where Jackson straight up lied, implying I'd already committed funds. It was a complete house of cards, and they'd built it using my name as the foundation. I felt the air leave my lungs. My mom, I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She knew? Maya just nodded, her face grim. She pointed to a forwarded email from my mom to Jackson. The subject was my name. The message was just 3 words. Use her. It'll open doors. I stared at the screen, my chest so heavy I could barely breathe. My own mother, plotting to exploit me. All those texts about family loyalty. It was never about love. It was about control. It was about cashing in on my work. Maya kept digging, pulling up contracts they'd sent to investors. They were sloppy, obvious fakes, with forged signatures that were a pathetic attempt to mimic mine. This is fraud, Skylar, she said, her voice low and serious. Plain and simple. We can nail them for this. She started cross-referencing everything, building a case. But the real gut punch, the one that broke me, was still coming. And when it hit, it showed me that the betrayal went even deeper than I thought. Because when Maya uncovered a text chain that included my dad, I realized just how alone I truly was in that family. So we had the evidence. The fake contracts, the shady emails, my mom's use her message. I thought I'd hit rock bottom in terms of shock. But man, I was wrong. The worst was still coming. Maya was a pit bull. She spent days cross-referencing documents, tracking every email trail. She even got on a call with Eric, the investor. When she explained that I had never authorized any of this, the guy was livid. I trusted your brother, he yelled at me over the speakerphone. He said you were fully on board. I apologized, my face burning with a shame that wasn't even mine to carry. I'd done nothing wrong, but I still felt this embarrassment, this stain on my name, and then came the gut punch, the one that changed everything. Maya called me, her voice unusually quiet. Skylar, I need to show you something. She'd gotten a forwarded text chain from a contact at Eric's firm. It was between Jackson and my dad. My heart just dropped. My dad? I pulled it up on my screen, my hands trembling. My dad's message was there, clear as day. He'd written, Jackson, this doesn't feel right. You need to tell Skylar what you're doing. For a split second, a tiny, stupid part of me felt a flicker of hope. He'd tried. He'd said something, but then I saw Jackson's reply, and it was like a physical blow. It was cold, dismissive. "She'll never know, Dad. Just stay out of it. She'll never know. Just stay out of it." My dad knew. He knew they were using my name, my reputation, to run a scam. And he did nothing. He saw the train wreck coming and he just stepped aside. He wasn't just passive anymore. He was complicit. His silence had given them the green light. I called him that night, my voice shaking so hard I could barely get the words out. "Dad, you saw what they were doing. You knew. Why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you tell me?" There was this long, painful silence on the other end. Then he mumbled, I thought they'd tell you eventually, Skylar. I didn't want to cause more drama." 'Cause more drama? His words stung worse than my mom's screaming. My mom was a hurricane, loud, destructive. You saw her coming. But my dad, he was the ground giving way beneath my feet. The one person I thought might, in his own quiet way, have my back, had just let me walk off a cliff. I hung up. I sat in my office, late into the night, just staring at the evidence Maya had compiled. The emails, the fake contracts, the slick website for Vance Holdings with my name plastered all over it. I felt betrayed from every single angle. Jackson's greed, my mom's manipulation, and now my dad's. Cowardice. Maya put a hand on my shoulder. "We've got enough to expose them, Skylar," she said, her voice firm. "But you need to decide what's next." I nodded, my mind racing. They'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. This wasn't just family squabbling. They were using my name to scam people, to take money under false pretenses. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was done. I was done being their doormat, done being the plain one they could just walk all over. It was time to stop hiding behind evidence and start using it. It was time to look them in the eye and show them that the invisible girl wasn't invisible anymore. She was a force to be reckoned with. Because walking into my parents' house for that confrontation was the hardest thing I've ever done. And what my brother did when he was cornered. Well, let's just say he showed his true colors. All right, so the evidence was stacked. The trap was set. I decided it was time to stop hiding behind emails and lawyers and look them in the eye. I called a meeting at my parents' house in Austin. I told my mom it was urgent family business. She agreed instantly, probably thinking I was finally going to cave and write that check. Walking in there was one of the hardest things I've ever done. My heart was pounding like a drum. The living room was tense, dead silent. Jackson was lounging on the couch like he owned the place. This smug smirk on his face like he'd already won. My mom, Catherine, sat stiffly in her armchair, her eyes narrowing into slits as I walked in and set a thick stack of papers down on the coffee table with a loud thud. And my dad? He was standing over by the window, staring out at the backyard like his life depended on it. Couldn't even look at me. I took a deep breath, my hands clenched to stop them from shaking. Jackson. "Catherine," I started, my voice way steadier than I felt. "You've been using my name to pitch your real estate company." I slid the dossier forward, opened right to a page with a forged contract, my signature faked at the bottom. "This is fraud. You straight up lied to investors, claiming I backed you." Jackson's smirk vanished. Poof. Gone. He leaned forward, his face turning pale. That's not true," he stammered. "It's just marketing, fluff." I cut him off cold. "Marketing?" I pointed to a printed email from him to Eric. "You told investors I'd put in millions." "I never agreed to that. Not a word." Then my mom jumped in, her voice sharp and defensive. "Skylar, you are blowing this completely out of proportion. We were just trying to help Jackson succeed. This is what family does." I held up a hand, not breaking eye contact with her. "Help him? You put my name on a website. You forged my signature. You lied to people for money. That's not help, Catherine. That's stealing." She flinched when I used her first name, but she doubled down, her voice getting desperate. "We are your family. You should want to support us." And that's when my dad finally spoke. His voice was low, weak. "Skylar, maybe we can just work this out quietly. As a family." I turned to him, all my frustration and hurt boiling over. "Dad, you knew. You saw them doing this and you didn't stop them. There's no working this out. They broke my trust." "You all did." He just looked away, his shoulders slumping in defeat. Then Jackson tried a new angle. His voice got all soft, fake sincere. "Sis, come on. We didn't mean any harm. Let's partner up for real, okay? We'll make it big together." For the family, I almost laughed in his face. His charm was as fake as the signatures on his contracts. I pushed the whole stack of papers toward them. It's over, Jackson. Eric is already pulling his money out. His lawyers have all of this. Every other investor on your list is getting a copy too. His eyes went wide with pure panic. He started flipping through the pages, his hands shaking. You're trying to ruin me! He shouted, jumping to his feet. I stayed calm, my voice ice cold. You did that yourself. You used my name. Now you face the consequences. My mom clutched his arm, whispering frantically. But he yanked away, glaring at me with pure hatred. I stood up, gathering my things. I'm not investing, and I'm not staying silent, I said, looking at each of them. Fix this or the lawyers will. I walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. Maya was waiting in the car, her expression grim but proud. You did it, Skylar, she said as I got in. I nodded, my heart still racing. I'd drawn a line in the sand. There was no going back now. The fallout was coming, and it was going to be brutal. Because when the walls finally started closing in on Jackson, the dominoes fell faster than I could have ever imagined, and the so-called golden boy was about to get exactly what he deserved. So I'd drawn my line in the sand. I walked out of my parents' house, and honestly, I felt like I could finally breathe for the first time in months. But let me tell you, the fallout from that confrontation, it hit my family like a freight train. By late summer, the news was spreading across Austin's business scene like wildfire. Eric had pulled his entire investment from Vance Holdings, and he made sure everyone knew why. The truth about the forged documents got out, and let's just say it went viral in our little world. Investors started backing out, one after another. It was a total domino effect. Jackson's name was getting dragged through the mud on local business forums and LinkedIn groups. Posts were popping up calling him a fraud, a scam artist. His bank accounts got frozen pending a fraud investigation. His so-called empire, it crumbled to dust overnight. Poof. Gone. I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it, I just watched it all unfold from a distance, feeling this weird mix of relief and total exhaustion, like I'd just finished a marathon I never signed up for. About a week later, my mom called. Her voice was trembling, barely a whisper. Skylar, baby? We made a mistake, she said, sounding so broken. Please, let's just fix this. As a family, I held the phone, my grip tight. Mom, you used my name to trick people. There is no fixing that. She started crying, real sobs. I only wanted to help Jackson succeed. I was just trying to be a good mother. But her tears? They felt empty, like just another tactic, another way to manipulate me back into their mess. The guilt trip was her only playbook. You made your choice, I told her, my tone totally flat. Now live with it, I hung up. My heart was heavy, but it was also resolute. I was done. Then the next domino fell. Jackson's girlfriend, Brandy, she jumped ship. I heard through a mutual friend that she'd packed her bags and left him. Said she wasn't going to go down with a sinking ship. She walked out and didn't look back. Can't say I blame her. The whole family was in chaos. My cousin Chloe texted me, blaming me for tearing the family apart. Another relative posted some vague, dramatic stuff on Twitter about betrayal. I ignored it all. Their circus wasn't my problem anymore. Then, my dad reached out. He left a voicemail. Skylar, I should have done more, he said, his voice just so tired. I'm sorry. I listened to it twice, waiting for some spark of forgiveness to warm me up. But nothing. It just felt hollow. He'd stood by and watched them use me. His silence in that moment spoke louder than any apology ever could. I didn't call back. Instead, I did what I should have done months ago. I blocked his number, and my mom's and Jackson's, my phone, it went quiet. For the first time in what felt like forever, it was just quiet, and a huge weight just lifted off my shoulders. I threw myself into my company, working late with my team on new software updates. The office became my sanctuary. My employees didn't care about my family drama. They cared about the code we wrote and the clients we won, and we were winning big. We landed a massive deal with a major tech firm in Dallas, and for the first time in a long, long time I smiled. A real, genuine smile that I didn't have to force. My success wasn't tied to their approval anymore, and man, that felt like freedom. But just when I thought the dust was settling, I found out my family had one last, desperate card to play. because just as I was starting to build my new life, my mom showed up at my office unannounced, and what she asked for next proved she had learned absolutely nothing. I thought blocking them was the end of it. I really did. I had my peace, my quiet, my company. But then my mom, Catherine, showed up at my office. Unannounced. She looked different. Smaller. The usual fire in her eyes was gone, replaced by this desperate, tired look. My receptionist buzzed me and my stomach just dropped. I almost told her to send her away. But a part of me, I don't know. Maybe I needed to see this for myself. I let her in. She stood in front of my desk, not even sitting down. "Skylar," she started, her voice shaky. "Your brother, he's a mess. The investigation, the debt, he's losing everything." I just looked at her, my arms crossed. I didn't say a word. I let the silence hang there. She took a sharp breath. "I know we messed up, but you have to understand the pressure. We need your help. Just a loan, enough to get him back on his feet. He's family, Skylar. He's your brother." There it was. After all of it, the lies, the fraud, the betrayal, it was still about Jackson. It was always about Jackson. She wasn't there to apologize to me. She was there to ask for more. I stood up from my desk and looked her straight in the eye. "No," it was one word, simple, final. Her face crumpled. "You would just let him drown? After everything?" "Mom," I said, my voice calm but firm. "He's not drowning. He's facing the consequences of his own actions, something you never let him do. And I am not his safety net." I walked around the desk and opened my office door. "We're done here. Don't come to my place of business again." She left without another word, and that was the last time I saw her. That moment was it for me, the final chapter. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I was just done. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn their love, their approval, a single glance of pride from my dad. I realized I was chasing a ghost. Their love was always conditional, and I just didn't meet the conditions. So I built my own family, my team at work. They're my tribe. We work hard. We celebrate our wins. We order too much pizza on late nights. My friend Maya, she's more of a sister to me than anyone sharing my DNA. I hosted a dinner at my new apartment in downtown Austin, the skyline all lit up, and the room was filled with real laughter. Not the fake, tense kind from my parents' house. The real deal. My company hit a new valuation milestone I can't even say out loud without smiling. I built this. Me. With my own 2 hands and a stubborn refusal to quit. I used to think family was about loyalty, no matter what. But I learned the hard way that loyalty doesn't mean letting people use you. It demands respect. And the moment they forged my name, they shattered that respect forever. Protecting what I built became my mantra. My success, my peace, my sanity, that's what matters. Their choices unraveled their world, not mine. I chose a different path, one of hard work, honesty, and independence. And standing here looking out at my city, I finally feel like I'm home. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to stand up for yourself against people who were supposed to have your back, then do me a solid. Smash that like button, it really helps the channel. Share this with a friend who might need to hear it. And most importantly, subscribe to Silent Revenge Lab. We're all about building your own power and finding strength in your own story. Your comeback is waiting. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. This is Skylar Vance, signing off. Now go out there and build your own empire.